Hello everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Right Brain Warm-Up, the webcast series where we're going to hope to retrain your brain to be more creative in 30 seconds. So we've got three wonderful guests here this morning. We've got Russel Howcroft, who's up in the top there, waving hello. Down below, Brady Bunch style, is Dan Monheit. Or is it Dan Monheit? I always get it wrong. Monheit. And then we have Andrea Clarke over down to the bottom. There we go. Very good.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming on. So today we're going to talk to these guys about creativity, particularly in this crazy world that we're in at the moment. We're going to hear sort of a little about why they got into creativity, why it's important, maybe even some hints and tips on how to be more creative. So I might just go through to my thing and just read out a little spiel about Russel so everyone knows who we are. I'm sure most people know who Russel is, but I'll read it out anyway. Russel Howcroft is one of Australia's most loved media personalities and a regular panellist on ABC TV's high-rating Gruen, hosted by Wil Anderson. He wrote and presented the top-rating ABC documentary on advertising Australian legends Mo and Joe, titled How Australia Got Its Mojo. He's currently partner and chief creative officer at PwC and the chairman of AFTRS, the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. Thanks for coming, Russ. Next up, Andrea, former television news reporter and Washington D.C. correspondent. Andrea covered major news events for Jazeera English, Pentagon channel and Thomson Reuters before working on humanitarian aid programs to rebuild Iraq and Afghanistan. Awesome. Andrea then led the communication campaign for the Save Darfur advocacy movement to stop the genocide in Sudan. She's now the founder of CareerCEO and author of the book Future Fit, How to Stay Relevant and Competitive in the Future of Work, which is even more relevant with what's going on now, which won the Australian Business Book of the Year in 2019. Thanks for coming, Andrea.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for introducing me after Andrea. That's
finally Dan. Dan is a guy who dresses nicely. Dan is the co-founder of Hard Hat, a creative agency built for today. A student of the old and a driver of the new, Dan works with ambitious marketers to build enduring brands. Hard Hat clients include Tiger Air, which, as we have obviously gone a little bit quiet, Bupa, Victoria University, and Simply Energy. Dan is also creator and host of the innovative Real Big Things event series and a seasoned presenter at global conferences, including South by Southwest, and also a university guest lecturer, and also co-host of Bad Decisions, a behavioural economics podcast. So all these amazing, clever people are here. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Cheers, Alex.
Good to be here.
First question I'm going to put to all of you is, maybe we're starting with Russell. What is creativity to you?
Thanks, Alex. Well, as you said earlier, I'm the chair of AFTRS, the Australian Film, TV, Radio School, and the new CEO there, the wonderful Nell Greenwood. She said to me, the best way to think about creativity is the three C's: small C, professional C, and the big C. And the small C is the creativity that all of us have got. Every single one of us is able to, use their creative mind, whether it's doing your cooking, or whether it's doing your gardening, or whether it's doing whatever, finger painting. We've all got the ability to be creative. Then, of course, there's the professional C, which is, of course, someone like you, Alex, that makes money out of being creative, and in particular, being creative in professional services. And then the big C. And the big C, of course, are the super freaks that have just got incredible creative capability that change the world. So a Knudsen and an opera house, or a Picasso. I think one of the big issues is that when we're growing up, our parents, they benchmark us against super freaks. So when you're doing, you're 10 years old and you're doing a drawing, our parents they say, well, they don't have the talent that I've seen at the NGV, therefore they're not very creative. So yeah, I think we sort of benchmark ourselves against big C, and we should just benchmark ourselves against small C, because we've all got it.
Awesome. Dan, what's creativity to you?
So, I think at the core of the word is to create. And whenever you're creating something, it's about putting ingredients together in new and interesting and wonderful ways. So I'm a very big believer that everything's a remix and there's no new ideas out there. And for me, creativity is just the ability to combine ingredients in ways that other people maybe haven't thought about or tried before. And so a bit like Russell said, that can apply to cooking as much as it can relate to music or commercial creativity like some of us do.
Well, it was like just Russell talking about the Opera House. That was him rearranging oranges on a breakfast plate. So it's taking something that everyone's looked at and changing into a different sphere makes it completely amazing, doesn't it?
Can't believe I missed that one. It's so obvious when you see it in the orange.
No, it's brilliant. Andrea, over to you.
I love the line that you and Russell's open with in your book, The Right Brain Workout, which is anything that changes the world for the better is creative. And I think what we're going to see is, a huge scale of small c creativity now that we're in this particular phase. And, even my local distillery is now making hand sanitizer instead of gin. And I think, anything that innovates your world and that improves the lives of people around you is creative. And what a gift that pivot is for everyone who works in that business, in that distillery.
And it's something that only us humans can do, isn't it? Which is really good. And I think we've got to remember that we're all blessed with these brains that are creative, and let's make the most of them, particularly in this era that we're living in. So leading on from that, like, why is creativity important, like right now, like beyond what you've already said, the other ways?
I think that what's interesting is that, there's so much hype around artificial intelligence and how technology is going to transform the future of work. Well, the future of work is right here. It's been accelerated by about 25 years, I think. Sure. And every business leader knows that to adapt and use any technology to innovate their business and to stay relevant in the market, that all exclusively hinges on the human ability to be creative. So our creative force is going to be far more relevant than what it ever has been. And no greater place to start right now with experimenting around your small c and professional c, because you never know. Someone's small c creativity at home through this crisis may very well lead to, the super freak big C stuff that will have an impact on everyone.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as well, just with all of us stuck at home, there might also be all the family connections might lead to something as well. Well, all of a sudden a mum and a dad might actually sit down with their kid and do something creative together, which might explode into something else, which is potentially could be amazing. So,
well, no, I was just going to say, I think, right now at this time, already unbelievable creativity is being unleashed everywhere. And we're going through, it's very interesting because we're going through it's a horrible time. Obviously, it's a horrible time, and it's a scary time. People losing jobs everywhere, like hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost right now and are under threat. So yes, that is the reality. The other thing that's going on though is a incredible loosening of what's normal. And through us being a bit looser, through us being a bit more, well, not a bit more, a lot more entrepreneurial, we're being, all of a sudden, we're being less bureaucratic. All of a sudden, we're just saying yes rather than saying, I'll get back to you, because time is of the essence. The accelerated activity that has happened in my world in the last 2 weeks has been unbelievable. So I'm sort of energized by the creativity that the coronavirus has created. And Alex, I completely agree with you. What's going on at home is fascinating, isn't it? In that our homes are now becoming really creative spaces. So I just, while I can, everyone get onto Instagram and check out isolation animation. And isolation animation, my son is doing a 60-second isolation animation and putting it on Instagram every day, one a day.
Amazing.
Check it out. It's good. It's funny. It's really good.
I'll put it in the show detail links down below so people can click on it too. So
okay.
What's it called again?
Isolation animation on Instagram.
Everyone go check it out.
A little 1-minute video, and a new 1-minute video every day. It's little animals talking about how pissed off they are with the world. It's good. You'll enjoy it.
Awesome. Check it out. Dan.
I mean, as far as why creativity is so important right now, there's sort of two things I think about. One is that over the last few years, there's been a very healthy tension in our industry about when to lean on the data and when to lean on the creativity. And I don't think there's much data to tell us what's meant to happen next. The problem with data is that it all comes from the same place, which is the past. And so when you're in unprecedented times, the thing I think we all need to lean on personally and professionally is creativity, because there's no playbook, there's no formula for what's meant to happen next. So really creativity is our only hope. And I think the second reason it's so important now is because creativity is about solving problems. And, you know, God knows we've got a lot of problems now. Most problems we have are the result of solutions that solve previous problems. So, you know, trying to design safer cars is a result of solving the problem of not being able to travel very far. Or trying to solve dementia is the result of solving lots of people dying earlier in life. So we have lots of problems, new and old, around us now. And I think we can expect a creativity explosion in the coming months.
It reminds me of a quote I heard recently, which I think is totally even more relevant than ever now. We need to stop playing life like it's a game of chess, where you're planning ahead, trying to defeat somebody. We need to start playing it like Tetris, where you're just in the moment and you're just moving as you go, and you're not trying to beat anyone. You're just trying to do the best you can. I think it's such a brilliant saying, and it's like, this is what we're all doing. No one knows what's happening, so we're just in the moment now. I think that's probably hopefully will be helpful in the long term.
I like it, Alex. I like it. I'm wondering if Andrea is Tetris or chess.
But, you know, I think it's so interesting, the whole concept of uncertainty, and I think that the role creativity can play in all of our lives in the coming months is, you know, to what degree are we really comfortable with uncertainty? Because uncertainty is such a huge piece of being creative. You need to be in a space where you feel psychologically safe, and I feel like this entire experiment is going to be, or this entire case study is going to be one that's really interesting around, you know, how do we feel psychologically safe? Like, what are the factors that play into that for us beyond, you know, the financial security to allow us to, you know, to feel like we can be in a position to create? But I think creativity is also so important because we all need to find a way to be at ease with uncertainty. Now, this is a whole different level of uncertainty that we're dealing with, but I think that's what creativity is. It's sitting in a place of not knowing what's next and being bold enough to have a crack and see what you can do to come up with something that's going to improve the lives of other people around you and inspire them.
Well, it's also like, well, we often say to our kids, change is good. We've all had this massive forced change on us. And I think we're all going to have to grow because of it. We can't just keep doing what we've always done. We now have to change and grow, and you never know what can become of it. I think
what's interesting from my point of view is, you know, is watching big business spend millions and millions of dollars on transformation projects, but yet we've suddenly in the last couple of weeks found ourselves in a situation where the workforce is in a position of forced adaptation. And that's something that, you know, previously a lot of money has been going into, but now we're in a place where if you were anti-remote working, or if you were pushing back on that concept of any new way of working, you now do not have an option and you have to make the best of it. And I think that a lot of good is going to come out of this, and a lot of people are going to discover how they really work most productively and realise that there are new ways of working that can reinforce the business outcomes, not just for the business they're working for, but across the entire industry.
I don't know about you guys, but there's no doubt that I've been way more productive in the last 2 weeks, like insanely more productive, which I think's fascinating. The other thing which I really like about flexible working from home, what's actually happening to us right now, is there is inherent trust in it. Yeah, so if you like the traditional, let's call it bureaucratic structures, where you need to clock in and clock out, and prove your worth by turning up and going to the desk and doing the day's work, there was a lack of trust just in that transaction, and so the way we're working now, of course, it's all about trust, and of course we should be trusted. Of course we're going to get on and do the day's work because that's where we get our own personal value from. I am really
satisfaction from it, don't we? Not just value. We all hopefully like to do a good job.
That's right, exactly. And I'm really enjoying a new sense of trust around what's happening right now. I think there's a new sense of trust in society that's going to build as we go on. I hope so, anyway.
It's sort of flattening out the hierarchy, isn't it? It's no longer you all got to be seen by my boss or else I'm going to get in trouble. It's like, no, you get on with the job. I'd imagine, Dan, because you're saying you're having stand-up meetings every day, you're having formal Friday, that maybe people, when they actually talk, people actually talk the stuff they need to do, and they don't get interrupted probably at their desk anymore, so they can actually just action things a bit quicker.
Yeah, I think for the guys we talk about as makers, so like the craftspeople in our agency, the copywriters, the art directors, this is literally the greatest thing to ever happen to them because they're not being interrupted 100 times a day. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm being highly productive in the small pockets of things that I'm doing, but you know, as an agency founder, I get a lot of my energy walking the floor and just talking to people and saying, what's going on? How are things with this client? How did that presentation go? You know, what are the hot topics at the moment? And so I personally am struggling a bit in this kind of vacuum of contact and context. But you know, it's new ways to work, and we're all adapting. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see when this is all finished, which it will be. What are the things that just snap straight back to how they were, and which are the things that are lasting changes in the way we live and work our lives? Should we still shares and hand sanitizer companies, or is that just going to go back to normal?
I'm wondering, Dan, whether the future of a business like yours, where you might treat your premises more like a clubhouse than an office, and so the workforce it'll be a flexible skills workforce. We're learning how to do it rapidly now, and then you'll set up your fantastic premises that you've got, but you'll set it up more as I say, like a clubhouse. Maybe.
So we do like a whiskey bar and like a basketball court, and
which you've got. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know you have that, but it'd be more.
They're lonely. They're lonely.
Yeah. So not less workstations, more meeting rooms, social rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, a really interesting thought.
All right. Well, my next one, maybe I thought might be good to hear from you guys about. Do you have, for people at home who are listening to this, got any like creative tips or techniques that you guys use to get your brain going to think creatively? Maybe start with Dan this time.
Sure. So, I mean, in my philosophy that everything's a remix, I think I need lots of things to mix. So one thing that I do is, and even now I have to be more structured in it because the days just kind of evaporate, but I speed listen to podcasts of all different types and varieties because I just need new information going in all the time. I make sure I have uninterrupted time with my kids every day because, as in uninterrupted by technology. So I come home, phone goes straight on the charger. And it's just amazing the things that, you know, I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and just what they talk about and how they think about the world is interesting. And then the other thing that's maybe a bit more pragmatic is if I need to do a piece of creative work, I need to block at least 2 to 3 hours, because I feel like you got sort of that half-hour warm-up, and then as soon as I know I have half an hour or less to go, everything starts closing up again.
Yeah.
Unless I've got at least a 2-hour block, then I just don't bother, and I'll find something else to do.
And is that turning technology off and everything for those 2 hours? Turning technology off, all that stuff for 2 hours, so you're just in the zone?
Yeah, just distraction-free, lock myself away with Post-it notes and Sharpies. That's it.
How is that going with the kids at home all the time now?
I've been hiding around the house. I've been hiding in my in-laws. I've been hiding in my car. So actually, I was chatting with Adam Ferrier earlier in the week. He's also been working a lot out of his car and saying how good it is. And we were saying how the problem has been we spent so long trying to get the office into the car, and actually what we need to do is get more of the car into the office. It's like secluded, lock the doors, people don't disrupt you. There's lots of ledgers and cup holders and things. So who knows?
I've always thought that would be an awesome thing. That, you know, those sort of more the people mover van.
Yeah.
Just mobile office. You just make that your office, and you go from meeting to meeting in your van.
Go to the drive-through for lunch.
having like, you know, 2 or 3 people in the van, right?
Yeah.
And have all the equipment that you need.
Yeah. Creative cars getting briefs. I think there could be a mini-series in it.
Yeah, right. Good. Let's do it.
It's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like what you say too. I like, Dan, the philosophy that everything's a remix. I really, really like that. I'm going to be stealing that. Thank you.
Well, the more people I speak to about this sort of stuff, it is a lot of people say, I just need so many inputs. Like the more stuff I know, the more stuff I've got to maybe to change a little bit, improve a little bit. So yeah, it's awesome. Love it. It's a good. Andrea, have you got some creative tips and techniques that you use?
So there's one thing that I do every day, which sets the tone for the day pretty early, and that is doing a 7K walk. So I'll be up and do 10,000 steps. Now, I started doing this 3 years ago, actually around Anzac Day 3 years ago, and it completely changed my life. And it was on those walks that I started thinking more and more about the future of work, and that's how the idea of the book came together. And it came together really pretty fast. And what I realised when I was researching the book, ironically, was that Stanford did this really interesting piece of work a couple of years ago around divergent thinking, and walking even 30 minutes a day increases your divergent thinking by 60%, which is astounding. And so my advice to anyone, and we can do it anywhere given the situation that we're in, is to go for a walk. Mm-hmm. Just go for a really simple walk. I think that, so 7Ks takes me about an hour 15, an hour 20 every day. And I find that is just the right amount of time for me to process everything that's going on and to find a way to innovate one thing in my life or one thing in my piece of work. So that's my tip. It's worked an absolute treat for me. It's been the most surprising development in my ability to be creative. So when I went through 12 weeks of writing the book, I came back from a walk and just got straight into it, hammer down for between 10 and about 2. And what was really important to recognize in that day, in that structure, was when did I get to the point of diminishing returns? And when you get to that point, it's tools down. So that's also really important to know, like where you should exit the day on a high and not try to drag it out. But walking 7Ks a day, 10,000 steps, total game changer.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I've often found that as well, working in an agency. You'd be sitting at desk and you also lose the energy. So just get up and about, get the blood flowing. It's also, by going on a walk, you're also getting new inputs again, like you're seeing the nature and stuff, and that's different to just being stuck at your desk. So it's always good to freshen things up, hey?
And you're also letting your mind go run down rabbit holes that you wouldn't normally. And in between, inevitably on that walk, there'll be texts and podcasts and messages and phone calls. And I guess, Dan, that's a bit of a remix. Everything's thrown up in the air, and by the end of it, it'll land, something will land that is helpful and, and innovative. Even if it's a super small C piece of innovation, it's still something that can move the day forward.
And even if it doesn't, you've still got some exercise, and that can't be bad, can it?
Yeah.
All right, so I think maybe we've gone about 20, 25 minutes. I think we might get ready for the right brain question, if you're ready for a question from the book, to challenge you guys and also to challenge the people watching at home. There you go, look, double. There we go, books everywhere. It's a good book, isn't it, Russell? I heard it's quite good. I don't know who wrote it. Oh, look, there we go, Dan. Come on.
I didn't get the memo on that.
Hang on, I'll pass it to you. There we go. No, so anyway, this question.
I had 3 copies and I lent them out.
We'll never get them back because people love it, I hear. Yeah, it's selling amazing. Anyway, so this is question 19 from the book. Here we go. This is question 19, which is, let's get ready to rumble. So the question is, if you were a professional wrestler, what would be your ring name and what would be your gimmick? And describe the finishing move that you would use to win the world title.
Well, when I read this last night, my immediate reaction to it was, and now this might be saying something about me, I'm not sure, but I thought I'd be called the breathalyzer. And I'd come out on the ring. Remember that fantastic Lynx commercial with the bloke with the spray cans going like this? With the spray cans. And then, of course, my killer move would be I just breathe on them.
That's genius.
You don't have to fake punch people. You just breathe on them. It has the actual effect like a fake punch. Yeah. Oh my God, it works via the internet.
I'm glad you like. I tried to crowdsource an answer with my family. Not one of them has given me a hand, so I thought, well, I'll just roll with the breathalyzer. Anyway, whatever.
So non-violent. So non-violent. Okay, right. I'll go next. So I thought about AC Slammer. MC Hammer, AC Slammer. That's what I went to. I went straight to that. And my final move, this is, part fantasy, part like body goals, so you'll have to bear with me, but catsuit, catsuit type arrangement with some kind of cape. And my final move would be a Rambo roll and a move I want to call the paws up cat slap. So what happens when you really, what seems to happen when you really annoy a cat sometimes, and in my experience, my cat once, a couple of years ago, literally had a gut full of me giving her attention, you know, as they do, and just bang, slapped me with her paws on either side of my cheek so hard. And I just thought I've never forgotten how shocking and painful that was. And I think that would surely translate to my opponent. So the paws up, cat slap.
Thanks.
There you go.
Champion of the world. All right, Dan, what's your wrestling gimmick?
Well, I mean, Russell's complaining about getting no help from his family. I put this out to my agency yesterday night and I got nothing back this morning. So clearly everybody's still very busy on client work. Performance reviews will still be happening during this period. So making serious note of that. Look, I thought we were going to have to draw something, and I thought I'd get out in front, and I'm very bad at drawing, but I thought I'd just try at the start. Right? So I'm going to be Zoom Man. I thought it was very appropriate. So what Zoom Man does is he comes out, the first minute of every fight, he's completely mute, right? I don't know how many Zoom calls you can't hear anything for the first minute. And then the way he's going to win the world championship is he's going to pin you down until you are starving, dying for a piss, can't remember why you're here in the first place, or even how long you've been on the call for. Zoom Man for the win.
I love it. You could also do the cover and then just glitch. So you just no one can move. You just glitched, frozen. 1, 2, 3. Love it. So I love those answers. That question, acknowledge you did it. It was Ryan Clayton, who's an advertising writer, art director. I keep saying right, he's an art director. So yeah, this is actually Angus Loxton. So I've got that wrong. He made B&T's 30 under 30 list. So well done to Angus for that question, and thanks for those awesome answers. They're amazing. So I think that was good. If you guys got any last thoughts for people at home in this time, or anything you want to plug?
Well, we last night we had with our team, the CMO advisory team at PwC, we had quarantinis last night.
Ah, very good.
So we had a hangout at 7 p.m. and we all toasted each other's health with a martini and chatted to each other for an hour. It was lovely. So I would recommend getting your teams in sort of virtual sessions.
Brilliant. Dan?
Yeah, look, on reflection, I think we have an amazing opportunity as an industry to plow our creativity into the problem, maybe not the PR opportunity. So there's both out there at the moment, but when we see guys like Zara making scrubs and LVMH making hand sanitizer, you know, there is so much that we can do as agencies and as clients with our small, professional and big C's, which I thought meant something different before today in our industry. But so I just think that's a great thing for us all to focus on. And initiatives like this are amazing. So thank you so much for having me, Alex. And if I was going to plug anything, go check out Hard Hat Agency or the Bad Decisions podcast.
Perfect. I'll put all that stuff in the link below as well. Andrea?
I'll just give you a quick one that might be interesting, Dan. So I was speaking to Tommy Fraser from Hummingbird. I don't know if you know those guys. Yeah, they do chatbots.
Yep.
And of course, he's producing now a chatbot, which he's going to then pitch into the health department, which just quickly gives you a quick Q&A on a chatbot around, what you need to do if you think you might have corona, right? So that may or may not get up, but he's onto it. He's making it happen. Awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Andrea?
Thanks, Alex. Thank you, Alex, for hosting, by the way. I think that we've got an opportunity the next few months to, collectively look at how important a creativity commission is that Russell's been pushing for years. I feel like now collectively, a collective conscious move towards that, even if it's, even if it's a smaller move within our own business. But I think no greater opportunity to really assess what that can look like in real time as this whole crisis plays out. So that's my final footnote.
Brilliant. And we'll buy your book as well, Future Fit.
Future Fit, you know, who would have known? Who would have known? I mean, I wrote it. It's been actually 12 months this month. It came out about the 20th of March randomly last year. And, you know, I wrote Future Fit to help people feel less vulnerable in, you know, in phases that resembled this. Who could have imagined the magnitude of what we're going through? But it's certainly, the purpose of it was to help everyone feel less vulnerable. So, 8 chapters in there, 8 human skills that I think we all need to upgrade to accelerate our own success in the future of work and help all of our communities get back online as quickly as possible.
Brilliant. Sounds awesome. Love it. Well, all right, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining. It was lots of fun. I hope people at home enjoyed it. If it's on the socials, hit the like and subscribe button, all that sort of malarkey. I don't understand it, but do something that you've been told to do and lots of other things. But until then, until next time, when in doubt, turn to your right side and see you guys later. Thanks for coming.
Alex.